One.
Read the poem, frolic, then answer the questions. The Wind in the Frolic by William Howitt. The wind one morning sprang up from sleep, saying, "Now for some fun, now for a leap, now for a madcap galloping chase. I'll make a commotion in every place." So it swept with a bustle right through a great town, creaking the signs and scattering down shutters and whisking with merciless squalls, old women's bonnets and gingerbread stalls. Then away to the fields it went blustering and humming, and the cattle all wondered whatever was coming. It plucked by their tails the grave, matronly cows, and tossed the colts' manes all about their brows. Then it rushed like a monster o'er cottage and farm, striking their dwellers with sudden alarm. And they ran out like bees in a midsummer swarm. But the wind had passed on and had met in a lane with a schoolboy who panted and struggled in vain. For it tossed him and twirled him, then passed, and he stood with his hat in a pool and his shoe in the mud. Then away went the wind in its holiday glee, and now it was far on the billowy sea, laughing to think in its fearful fun how little of mischief it had done. '34, Part A. In lines 16 through 19 of The Wind in a Frolic, how does the schoolboy feel after the wind passes? A. Amused. B. Excited. C. Tired. D. Wounded. Part B. Underline two phrases that support the answer to Part A. But the wind had passed on and had met in a lane with a schoolboy who panted and struggled in vain. For it tossed him and twirled him, then passed, and he stood with his hat in a pool and his shoe in the mud. 35, Part A. In the poem The Wind in a Frolic, what is the speaker's point of view of the wind? A. It is bored. B. It is cruel. C. It is playful. D. It is well-mannered. Part B. Which detail from the poem supports the answer to Part A? A. Then away to the fields it went blustering and humming, line 9. B. Then it rushed like a monster o'er cottage and farm, line 13. C. For it tossed him and twirled him, then passed, and he stood, line 18. D. Then away went the wind in its holiday glee, line 20. '36, Part A. In line 4 of the poem The Wind in a Frolic, what does commotion mean? A. A performance. B. Rubbish. C. Solution. D. Upheaval. Part B. Which detail from the poem supports the answer to Part A? A. So it swept with So it swept with a bustle right through a great town, line 5. B. And the cattle all wondered whatever was coming, line 10. C. But the wind had passed on and had met in a lane, line 16. D. Then away went the wind in its holiday glee, line 20. 37. Write the events in the order they occur in The Wind and the Frolic. The wind rushes out to sea. Cows' tails and colts' manes blow in the wind. The boy's hat falls in a pool. The wind blows through the town. Women's bonnets get blown about by the wind. Section 3. Read the passage titled Gliding in the Sky, then answer the questions. Go to the park, beach, or field on a windy day, and you will likely find kites serenely gliding in the sky. Kite flying is growing in popularity and is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. There are over 50 million kites sold each year in North America alone. Many cities have kite festivals and even kite flying contests to capitalize on the popularity. Kite flying has been around for over 3,000 years, even before the invention of paper. It is believed that the first kites were made of leaves and were flown in China. Kite flying soon spread to Korea, Japan, and farther across Asia, making it all the way to India. Kite flying became so popular in Japan during the 1700s that the government banned it because people were too distracted by the kites to do their work. When Marco Polo, a merchant from Italy, visited and explored China in the 1300s, he brought back stories about kites that he saw during his travels. Soon, sailors and other travelers to the east brought back kites to Europe. Kites are not just used for entertainment. Kites were used for military purposes as early as 200 BCE. And during World War II, pilots used them to signal for help. During the 1700s and 1800s, kites were used for scientific experiments. Scientists used them to learn about wind, weather, and even electricity. Kites are heavier than air. This means that, like airplanes, they rely on aerodynamic forces or air forces such as lift and drag to fly into the sky. Lift is the air force that pushes the kite upward. Drag is the air force that slows it down. Kites are often shaped like diamonds, but they can come in many different shapes and sizes. Diamond-shaped kites are sometimes called two-stick kites. Another common shape is a triangle, also called a bat kite. One elaborately shaped kite is a box kite. Unlike the ancient kites, today's kites can be made of cloth, paper, or plastic. All kites do not fly the same way. Some kites can be easily moved to change directions, and other kites have multiple lines so that flyers can make them perform stunts in the air. You can buy a kite at a store or design and make your own. Kite kits can be found at hobby shops or online. Whether you buy it or make it, take your kite out on the next windy day and watch it glide gracefully in the sky. 38 Part A. What is the author's purpose for writing Gliding in the Sky? A. To persuade readers to buy a kite. B. To inform about the history of kites. C. To teach readers how to make a kite. D. To entertain readers with a story about kites. Part B. Part B. Which detail from the passage supports the answer to Part A? A. There are over 50 million kites sold each year in North America alone. Paragraph 1. B. Kite flying has been around for over 3,000 years, even before the invention of paper. Paragraph 2. C. When Marco Polo explored China in the 1300s, he brought back stories about kites that he saw during his travels. Paragraph 3. D. You could buy a kite at a store or design and make your own. Paragraph 7. 39 Part A. How does the illustration at the beginning of Gliding in the Sky contribute to the meaning of the text? A. It provides a visual of what two-stick kites look like. B. It shows kites that are used for military purposes. C. It displays the oldest kites known to man. D. It confirms why people enjoy kite flying.